Hi, everybody. Welcome to our spiritual sojourn. So glad you could join us. Hey, Tom. How are
Hello,
you?
Laurie. I'm so good. How are you doing?
I'm good. So here we are today, and it's been kind of a crazy couple of weeks with everything going on in the world and in our country in particular. And I know that the guides who are with us have been certainly counseling me all for the last few days and keeping me balanced and somewhat centered and in alignment. So I'm going to let them kind of say what they have to say today because I feel like their messages have really helped me to stay as calm as possible, to stay in that light, stay in alignment with source. So let me get out of the way. Greetings to you all. We are very happy to have this opportunity to speak with you, for we know this can be a difficult time in the world as well as in your country in particular. Know that all is well, even though we know as humans you are feeling the stress of all that is happening. Know that you will be fine, that all will unfold as it should. We are here to support you, to help you, to guide you, to protect you. Your task is to stay centered, to always bring yourself back to the centeredness and alignment with Source, with your guides, with your angels, with all of those beings of light who surround you at all times. Always bring your consciousness back to this place, connecting with Soul Self, who, as you know, is a divine being who is always connected to the Source and will serve that purpose of being your calming center. So bring yourself back to your heart space and understand that you are okay. We would encourage you to perhaps limit the amount of time that you spend with your news feeds, for these are designed at this time to cause great stress and fear. And we would encourage you as much as you are able to stay out of fear, for it serves no purpose other than to keep you spinning and afraid and unsure and feeling disconnected from who you truly are. We, your guides, are always here to support you. All you need to do is ask, and we encourage you to talk with us, to ask for our assistance every moment of every day, if that is what you need. For we are always by your side and always waiting to offer the assistance, the guidance that you require. Remember, you are all beings of light who have agreed to be here at this specific time. You knew that this would be the challenge that you came to face, and you took it on willingly and gladly to be able to help with the shifts that are still occurring with the increasing frequency of humans and the earth itself. And that you are here to shine this light out into the world to help raise the frequency of all around you. And to do that, you must stay in alignment and out of fear, for fear blocks that light and does not allow it to shine through. And so accepting your agreement, following your soul path, let go of fear and shine the light as strongly as possible through your heart space out into the world around you. For it will have a calming effect of those that you encounter day to day in your life. And you may not know who you will save, who you will help to awaken in those moments. Also, be open to having messages from Source come through you that will also be just what that individual needs to hear in the moment. We know you say, well, I don't channel, I can't do that. And we say to you, yes, you do, or you channel all the time. You just do not call it that. And when you are open and allowing yourself to be fear free, bringing through that divine light, those messages come through you naturally, easily. It could be a random moment standing in the line at the grocery store. You will say one or two words, and it will be exactly what that person needed to hear. Do not doubt yourself. Do not make yourself small. It is now time for all of you to stand up and be those incredible beings that you are, and to stay in that alignment. There is so much love around you, so much protection. Step into this and trust. Wow, that
Great.
was an amazing message.
It was. Can I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
We've all chosen to be here at this time, and we're all helping with the shift. My question is, how do we know if there's something special that a particular one of us needs to be doing? Or if we have a duty that we've been called to do, but we don't necessarily know what that is? How will we know?
Trust that your soul knows. Mind and ego may not have a clue, may in fact know, but also be trying to hide from it, and therefore keep you from it. Trust that the soul always knows what its agreement is, what it came here to do. Always tune in to that soul self, for that is who you truly are. Ask us, your guides, the angels, for we are here and we also know the path that your soul has chosen, and we will help guide you to that next step that you feel you must take. When you are allowing the soul to guide you, to be in charge instead of mind and ego, you are always on the path, always doing exactly what you came to do. It is only when mind and ego are allowed to be in charge, for they live in fear and generate fear. Soul does not, for soul knows the truth.
Okay.
And sometimes that's really hard to do because it's such a strong illusion, and we're so culturally trained to trust mind and ego, who is all about what you can feel and touch and measure and judge, that it's hard sometimes to step out of that and allow the soul to really speak, because the soul speaks softly, and it sometimes is just more of a feeling, an understanding, a knowing. And we've also been trained to ignore that because it doesn't matter or it's not real. It's imagination. And the more we can tune into that and allow it to be, the stronger it becomes, is what I've found for myself. And we all have those moments where it's just, you're just kind of stuck with mind and ego for a moment or two, because it's just, that's how it works. We're humans. And if we practice every day, noticing those thoughts, noticing those fears, just noticing them and letting them simply dissolve, then we can center more frequently and more quickly into our soul self. And that's really, for me, has been what I've been guided to do. And some days it's pretty easy and I can do it. Other days, it's just like, it's all about just thinking these crazy thoughts and just letting them run rampant some days. So also it's about, for me at least, being kinder to myself about that.
How does that go for you?
Some days really well, some days not so well. And I think the more I can do that, the kinder I can be to myself when it's just been all about mind and ego and fear each day.
So to re-ask my question a little bit differently, how do you do that for yourself? How do you be kinder to yourself during those times?
I watch the thoughts that I have and the messages that I'm telling myself. And when I see the negative thoughts about how I'm being stupid or what's wrong with me, why can't I get this right? I can notice those thoughts, more quickly. And once I notice them, they stop. That gives me that moment then to bring my consciousness into my heart space and settle again with my soul, who's very kind and loving and says, it's all okay. It's fine. And we just rest in that peacefulness for a moment. Then the thoughts start immediately because thoughts never really stop. So it's that constant vigilance of noticing them as quickly as I can. And some days I'm better at that than others.
Mhm. Boy, if anything takes practice, it would be that to stay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Meditation helps me to do that. If I can start my day that way, it helps me to be a little more centered and more able, maybe to more quickly see those thoughts and release them. Um, I think we do the best we can. And to me, that's the message, is do the best I can each day, catch as many of them as I can, release them, and move forward. And I feel like over time, I'm a bit kinder and gentler with myself. I'm not as judgmental of myself as I used to be.
Mhm.
I'm not completely free of it by any means. And I think I'm better than I was.
That seems like one of those things, once you get good at it, you might convince yourself you're fine and then you might fall back into it. So it's one of those constant awareness items.
I don't think it's that we ever I think that there are certain people, yogis or whoever, who spend their lifetime doing this, who get to that point of that's all done for them and they're just in that place of being and soul and connection. That will not be me, and my sense is that that probably won't be most of us who are in this human body, right? And so I think the best we can do is do our best and give ourselves grace and ask for grace around that and move on. It's like tomorrow will be a better day. Tomorrow I'll be a little more conscious and just keep making those small steps. It's like in addictions when you're working in an AA program. Um, it's those little steps forward, and it's basically progress, not perfection.
Mhm.
And I remind myself of that all the time.
I can see that's the case. There's a story many of us have heard about a jazz musician who was, I believe, like in his 80s and he still practiced every day. And they asked him why he practiced every day. And he says, because I'm still making progress.
Exactly.
And he may have
Yeah.
reached some pinnacle already, but he's still making progress.
Exactly. And I think that's the whole point of souls taking on a physical presence so that so we can, as a soul, as a divine being, experience that and to see that we do keep making progress and that we can keep moving forward. It's all about the experience to me. And so, yeah. And as a musician yourself, you know that. I mean, you keep practicing, you keep moving forward, learning new things, trying out new things.
It's all true.
Yeah. And this is the same sort of thing. It's all about practice and attention.
Well,
One time I asked my guide why it was I could channel, like why, I could get all these messages. And he said in part it was because I paid attention and that I practiced it. I was like, oh, okay. Which is so simple. And I think it's true. I pay attention to the messages when they come through.
that's a homework assignment for all of us. Both of those two things, paying attention to the messages and paying attention to our own inner chatter that takes you off the trail. Um, Two tough homework assignments. But I think it's absolutely what's required
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
So we all,
And remember, it's progress. And sometimes it's itty bitty, a baby step, and sometimes you take a leap. You just never know, but it's progress. You're never going to get to that place, I don't think, of perfection until we leave this physical body.
so
Because we're all perfect otherwise.
as a musician, you don't see me diving into a crowd of people. I will never have reached that. Well, okay. Well, that's a tough message.
To me, it's a hopeful message.
Okay, well, this is all really, really good timing and the nature of what we heard today. Is there anything else they would like to pass to us before we wind it down for today? It's a short session, but it's a very good one.
I think so. Hold on. Yeah, they're stepping back in. Human beings are wired for order and control, and you think of chaos as being somehow negative and failing. We would say to you, chaos is important, for it is how things change. It is how the old falls away that is no longer serving, and the new can step in. Be comfortable with chaos. Be comfortable with not being in control. Become comfortable with not knowing. Make that your mantra, that you do not know, and it's okay. You don't need to know. Only mind and ego need to know. Trust that you can stand steady in the eye of the storm, the chaos around you, and be centered and stay in that divine presence and come through just fine.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that mixes in with, do I have to worry about if I have to do something special, or should I just kind of block it all out and just stay centered? And so those two things seem like they don't cross over very much, but actually, I guess on a need to know basis, you'll know if you've been called to do something special in this energy change. But for the most part, it's kind of a stay protected, don't be distracted, try and focus on what you're hearing in your own self and don't focus on what everybody else is saying. And I can tell you, for speaking for myself, that's an important message.
And I find it some days to be really hard to do. And when I can have those moments, that it's blissful, actually. It truly is. Being in the chaos can be scary. And the more I can stay centered in that and be okay with not knowing, the more I can feel myself moving forward then.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And one more thought on the chaos, which is in most of our professional lives or work lives or whatever we do, chaos is typically the enemy. You know, you've got to go in and make sense of the chaos. You've got to organize the chaos. And we're all trained to do that in some sense. And right
Mhm.
now we're being asked to not do that, to just accept it.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is another big challenge for me and I'm sure for lots of people. But
I
that
think all of us, yeah.
it's counterintuitive to what we've spent our lives trying to do.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And we're up to the task, or we wouldn't be here.
That's a great final point on that. And I'm going to take your word for that, Laurie.
I truly believe that.
Okay. Is there anything else either they or you would like to add here at the end?
No, I don't think so. Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, sometimes the messages are just really concise, but they're very good. And I put this in that category. So today's show, not as quite as long as some, but I'm glad that we got that message through. So with that in mind, we hope this has helped you. If it has, give us a like. And you can also subscribe if you have not already and share it with a friend if you can think of someone that would benefit from this. If you have questions about this or any other topic that we touch on from time to time, you can put that in the comments. We'd love to see your comments. And also, we have a community page where you can suggest other topics that we might conduct in the future. And so we're always looking for not only new ideas, but what people would like to hear, what people would like to learn. So keep that in mind. We'd love to hear that as well. And lastly, you can always get a hold of Laurie and Tom at ourspiritualsojourn@gmail.com, and we will promptly get back to you, I promise. And with that, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Well, that was fun.